A few landmarks helped us, the domes and buildings in the distance, the road, the fountain in the courtyard, and we matched them against satellite images from the time to trace the precise spot, a suburban villa in a small town called Haratan near Aleppo. Now look just beyond the walls, an ambulance. It's from the UK. No number plate, but the signage is just about visible. It says Scottish Ambulance Service. We try to find images of the vehicle online. This one is a match. The lettering peeled in just the same places. It was part of a legitimate aid convoy to Syria, which, according to news reports, arrived just 1 week before this video was filmed. We used the registration to find this picture, which shows the ambulance on the streets of East Kilbride 6 months earlier. But who are the men here? First, we identified the leader, the man giving tactical instructions.
What tactic do you have? Hide behind what?
He's Swedish, Hassan al-Mandlawi, who left Syria to return home to Gothenburg. But he was arrested, then jailed for taking part in an execution video.
In Syria.
No surprise, he spotted the British men straight away. The girl's father was known as Ibn Ajam, he says. And this man was known as Abu Yaqub.
From what I understand, he was one of the first fighters. I didn't like his personality and his attitude. He was aggressive. His friends came from England.
We believe Abu Yaqub is Nero Sareva, who we've identified from images that were taken before he left for Syria. He was a close friend of the 4 British executioners known as the Beatles. On Twitter, he even previewed one of their infamous beheading videos. It's 6 years since he left East London, and although it's not clear whether he's still alive, some family members have said they fear he might return.
You don't know what he did to this family, and I pray you never get to feel the pain he caused.
There are thousands who made
They're from APTA's guidance on how firms should prepare for a no-deal Brexit. Possible disruption, they say, could go beyond our links to Europe. It warns of potential surcharges if there's significant shift in exchange rates and that travel insurance costs could rise. It says staff such as travel reps could no longer work in continental resorts in the way they now do.
New figures show the scale of the pay-before-you-die sector. 1.3 million plans have been sold, 200,000 in the last 12 months. Over £4 billion has now been set aside for funerals, while the customers are still alive and kicking. And on average, the cost is just over £3,000.
A survey by the charity Plan International UK of 1,000 young women aged 14 to 21 found 35% said they'd been sexually harassed in public while in their school uniforms, with 13% saying they'd first faced it when they were 12 years old or younger. 8% said a stranger had taken a photo of them without their permission, or someone had taken a photograph up their skirt.
At Pizza Express, a carbonara pizza at 1,420 calories wouldn't meet the suggested 928 calorie limit. And at Ask Italian, the pizza caprino would break the rules at 958 calories. While at a JD Wetherspoons pub, a beef and ale pie with gravy mash and peas is 1,078 calories, well over the proposed 695 calorie limit for pies.
There were more than 9,000 assaults on staff in the 12 months up till March. That's up 26% from the year before. Prisoner-on-prisoner assaults have also gone up to more than 22,000, an increase of 16% on the previous year.
Tonight, does the meaning of Brexit really come down to the definition of a few other words? Should a backup plan for the Northern Irish border be temporary or time limited? Today, some were willing to search the whole dictionary to avoid anything which means indefinite.
But there's a mountain to climb. These are rising CO2 emissions, and this is the reduction needed to get to zero by mid-century. So how do we achieve this massive change? Renewable energy needs to supply up to 85% of electricity. Coal has to be left in the ground. Transport infrastructure and industry will have to be radically cleaner. Millions of square kilometres of land must become forests to take carbon out of the atmosphere, and we probably need new ways of actively removing greenhouse gases from the air.
The High Court heard about an £11.5 million house in Knightsbridge and a £10 million golf course. More than £16 million was spent in Harrods over a decade, including on a single day spending £150,000 on the luxury jewellery brand Boucheron, £100,000 on Cartier jewellery and £1,800 on wine.
And the affair is costing the Saudi government more and more friends. Richard Branson has announced he's halting a $1 billion investment in Saudi Arabia until the matter is resolved. And several high-profile participants in an upcoming investment conference in Riyadh, scheduled in 2 weeks, have pulled out, including US network CNN, the Financial Times, Viacom and Uber. Others include 2 doctors, 2 intelligence officers, 2 pilots, and 6 members of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's office and close inner circle. Others include 2 doctors, 2 intelligence officers, 2 pilots, and 6 members of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's office and close inner circle. Others include 2 doctors, 2 intelligence officers, 2 pilots, and 6 members of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's office and close inner circle. Others include 2 doctors, 2 intelligence officers, 2 pilots, and 6 members of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's office and close inner circle. The investigation is centering around the Saudi consulate here on Akagag Street in Istanbul. The Washington Post has released a CCTV photo, purportedly from the Turkish investigation, showing Jamal Khashoggi entering the building at 1:14 last Tuesday. You can see the entrance in the photo matches the north entrance of the building on Google Maps. The photo also shows 2 vehicles parked right outside, apparently with diplomatic plates. One is a Mercedes Vito van with distinctive bonnet grills. The other is unclear, but may be a second Vito. It's understood Turkish investigators are trying to trace both of them. They believe the vehicles may have driven to the Saudi residence about 500 metres away on Mesalik Street. It's understood they're also checking any connections to 15 Saudis who arrived on 2 Gulfstream jets from Saudi Arabia around the time of the disappearance. One jet, HZ SK2, arrived in Istanbul from Riyadh a few hours before he disappeared, and the other, HZ SK1, arrived a few hours afterwards, leaving later to Cairo. According to CCTV pictures shown on Turkish state-run broadcaster TRT, 9 of the men arrived on a private jet which landed just before 3:30 a.m. They were then seen inside the airport's gate before making the 40-minute journey to the Movenpick Hotel. They checked in and 2 of them were filmed in the hotel's lift. A few hours later, 6 of the men are filmed leaving the hotel. At 1:14 p.m. that day, Jamal Khashoggi is seen entering the Saudi consulate, and 2 hours later, 2 black vehicles are filmed leaving for the short 500-metre journey to the Saudi residence. Here, the van is seen entering the garage of the residence, possibly with Khashoggi's body on board.
His real name is Dr. Alexander Mishkin. He graduated from one of Russia's elite military medical academies and was trained as a military doctor for the Russian Naval Armed Force. Mishkin was recruited by the GRU Russian intelligence and by 2010 had relocated to Moscow. Until early September 2014, Mishkin's registered home address in Moscow was Koroshovskaya Shossa 76B, the address of the headquarters of the GRU.
If Britain ends up trading with the EU on WTO rules, the Institute for Fiscal Studies calculates the cost of importing and exporting processed food and drink would rise by 38%. The cost of shipping farm produce and fish would go up 25% and clothing and textiles by 21%. Tariffs cut.
Sir Craig had left that meeting in Parliament by the colonnades to get into his official car. As he was being driven around the courtyard, he said he heard a loud bang and saw Masood enter, carrying a butcher's knife. It was from this position that he witnessed Masood stabbing his officer, PC Keith Palmer. Just seconds later, he heard Masood being shot by an armed officer before his car continued to exit via carriage gates.
Others include 2 doctors, 2 intelligence officers, 2 pilots, and 6 members of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's office and close inner circle. Others include 2 doctors, 2 intelligence officers, 2 pilots, and 6 members of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's office and close inner circle.
The Irish border issue remains the biggest barrier to a Brexit deal, because if there's no eventual trade deal with the UK, the EU wants a backstop, an insurance policy to avoid goods getting into its single market. The EU's solution: just keep Northern Ireland inside the single market, removing the need for border checks but requiring customs controls between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. That breaks the DUP's red line. The UK government is expected to reveal fresh proposals soon, which will include keeping the entire UK in the EU customs union for a time-limited period.